Did you know that the American Revolution was sparked by something as simple as a tax on tea? Imagine being so frustrated with your government that you'd throw an entire shipment of tea into the harbor. That's exactly what the Boston Tea Party was, a bold statement against British rule. But it wasn't just about tea, it was about freedom and self-governance. The colonists rallied together, fueled by the belief that they deserved the same rights as Englishmen. From the fiery speeches of Patrick Henry to the strategic genius of George Washington, this was a fight for a new identity. The war lasted 8 long years, with battles fought from Lexington to Yorktown, ultimately leading to the birth of a nation. The Declaration of Independence wasn't just a document, it was a declaration of hope, a promise of liberty that still resonates today. The American Revolution was a pivotal moment in history, marking the birth of a nation that dared to challenge the might of the British Empire. It wasn't just a fight for independence, it was a struggle for ideals like liberty, equality, and self-governance. Imagine colonists, frustrated by taxation without representation, rallying together to declare, "We deserve a voice." This conflict ignited a spirit of democracy that would inspire countless movements worldwide. The revolution reshaped not only America but also the global landscape, setting the stage for modern democratic principles. Understanding this war is crucial because it reminds us that the quest for freedom and justice is a timeless endeavor, one that continues to resonate today.
The American Revolution was ignited by a series of oppressive British policies that stoked the fires of discontent. It all began with taxation without representation. Imagine being taxed on everyday items like tea and paper, yet having no voice in Parliament. The Stamp Act of 1765 was particularly infuriating, forcing colonists to pay a tax on every piece of printed paper. Then came the Townshend Acts, imposing duties on imports like glass and paint, further inflaming tensions. The Boston Massacre in 1770 was a turning point, where British soldiers killed 5 colonists, turning public opinion against the crown. And let's not forget the Boston Tea Party in 1773, where colonists protested by dumping tea into the harbor, a bold statement against British control. These events fueled a growing desire for independence, as colonists united against what they saw as tyranny. The call for freedom was not just about taxes. It was about the right to self-govern and live without oppression. The stage was set for revolution. The Boston Tea Party was a pivotal moment in our fight for freedom. Picture this. It's December 16th, 1773, and a group of colonists, frustrated by the Unfair Tea Act, decide enough is enough. Disguised as Mohawk Indians, they board 3 ships in Boston Harbor and dump 342 chests of tea into the icy waters. This bold act of defiance wasn't just about tea. It was a protest against taxation without representation. The British response? They passed the Intolerable Acts, tightening their grip on the colonies and pushing us closer to rebellion. Each event, from the Stamp Act to the Boston Massacre, fueled our desire for independence. The spark was lit, and soon, the flames of revolution would engulf the colonies, leading us to fight for our rights and freedom. The American Revolution was marked by several key battles and events that shaped the course of history. Let's take a look at the most important ones. The war officially began with the battles of Lexington and Concord. British troops marched to confiscate colonial weapons, but they were met by militiamen. A gunshot, whose origin remains unknown, sparked the battle. This event became known as the Shot Heard around the world, symbolizing the beginning of the revolution. On July 4th, 1776, the Continental Congress adopted the Declaration of Independence, drafted by Thomas Jefferson. This document officially declared the American colonies free from British rule and laid the foundation for the United States of America. It was a turning point in the war, as it transformed the conflict from a fight for rights into a battle for full independence. The Battle of Saratoga was a major victory for the Continental Army, led by General Horatio Gates and Benedict Arnold. The British, commanded by General John Burgoyne, were forced to surrender. This victory convinced France to officially support the American cause by providing troops, weapons, and naval assistance. Without French support, American victory would have been much more difficult. The last major battle of the war took place in Yorktown, Virginia. General George Washington, with support from French forces under General Rochambeau and Admiral de Grasse, surrounded and trapped the British Army under General Cornwallis. After weeks of siege, Cornwallis surrendered on October 19, 1781. This decisive victory effectively ended the war, leading to the Treaty of Paris in 1783, where Britain recognized American independence. These battles and events not only shaped the war, but also changed the course of world history, paving the way for the rise of the United States as a free and independent nation. The American Revolution was shaped by powerful leaders on both sides, visionary revolutionaries who fought for independence and British commanders who tried to maintain control over the colonies. Let's take a closer look at some of the most important figures. At the heart of the American Revolution was George Washington, a skilled military leader and strategist. In 1775, the Second Continental Congress appointed him Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. Though he initially lacked experienced soldiers and resources, Washington's resilience and leadership helped him secure crucial victories. His famous crossing of the Delaware River in 1776 led to an unexpected victory in the Battle of Trenton, which boosted American morale. His strategic insight was key in the Battle of Yorktown, where British General Cornwallis was forced to surrender. After the war, Washington's leadership continued, as he became the first president of the United States in 1789. Because of his contributions, Washington is often referred to as the father of his country. While Washington was leading on the battlefield, Thomas Jefferson played a critical role in the political fight for independence. In 1776, at just 33 years old, Jefferson was chosen to draft the Declaration of Independence. His words, "All men are created equal and endowed with unalienable rights," became the foundation of American democracy. After the war, Jefferson served as the third U.S. president and was responsible for the Louisiana Purchase, which doubled the size of the United States. Jefferson's vision of a free and democratic nation still shapes the U.S. today. While soldiers fought on the battlefield, Benjamin Franklin worked behind the scenes to secure international support for the Revolution. As a skilled diplomat, Franklin was sent to France in 1776 to seek an alliance. After the American victory at Saratoga, Franklin convinced the French to officially join the war, providing money, supplies, and troops. His negotiations helped secure the Treaty of Paris, which ended the war and recognized the United States as an independent nation. Beyond politics, Franklin was also an inventor, scientist, and writer, making him one of the most influential figures in American history. The American Revolution was not just a war. It was also a political crisis for King George III, the ruler of Great Britain from 1760 to 1820. He saw the American colonies as an important part of the British Empire and refused to grant them more political freedom. His taxation policies, such as the Stamp Act and Tea Act, angered the colonists and led to the famous Boston Tea Party. Even after several British defeats, he insisted on continuing the war. Eventually, Britain was forced to sign the Treaty of Paris, officially recognizing the United States' independence. Despite losing the colonies, George III remained king for many years. General Charles Cornwallis was one of the most important British commanders during the war. He was known for his military skill and victories, but he also made a critical mistake that led to Britain's defeat. He won major battles, including the Battle of Camden in South Carolina. However, in 1781, he marched his army to Yorktown, Virginia, believing it was a safe position. There, he was surrounded by Washington's army and the French Navy. After weeks of siege, he had no choice but to surrender on October 19, 1781. This defeat at Yorktown effectively ended the war, leading to Britain's withdrawal from the colonies. Each of these figures played a crucial role in shaping history. Washington, Jefferson, and Franklin helped build a new nation based on freedom and democracy, while King George III and Cornwallis fought to preserve British rule. In the end, the American Revolution set the stage for the rise of the United States as a global power. Would the revolution have succeeded without these leaders? That's a question for history, but their contributions remain unforgettable. The American Revolution was more than just a series of battles. It was a seismic shift in the course of history. Imagine a group of colonies, tired of oppression, rising up to declare their independence. This wasn't just about freedom from British rule. It was about the birth of new ideas, liberty, democracy, and the rights of individuals. The Declaration of Independence echoed across oceans, inspiring revolutions in France, Latin America, and beyond. It challenged the very foundations of monarchies and sparked a global quest for self-determination. The principles established during this time laid the groundwork for the United States, shaping its identity and governance. The revolution was a catalyst, igniting a fire for change that would resonate through centuries, proving that the fight for freedom knows no borders. The most immediate and obvious result of the war was independence. After years of struggle, the Treaty of Paris, 1783, officially recognized the United States of America as a free and sovereign nation. No longer ruled by Britain, Americans could now govern themselves and create their own laws. Winning independence was just the beginning. The new nation needed a strong foundation, so the Founding Fathers created the U.S. Constitution, 1787. This document established a democratic republic where leaders were elected by the people, a system of checks and balances to prevent any one person from having too much power, and the Bill of Rights, 1791, which guaranteed freedoms like speech, religion, and fair trials. The U.S. Constitution became a model for future democracies around the world.